Hey everyone, it is Ed Gutowski. I wanted to create a welcome video that introduces you to class, kind of talk about the textbooks for the course. It's going to be a super fun course. I'm really looking forward to our class. An introduction to literature class, obviously what's the title implies, right? We are going to basically look at a variety of literature, starting with some short stories, some poetry, and then we're going to look at some drama. Originally, I was going to add Henry V to our class. Sometimes the bookstore includes it as part of our requirements for class, but I decided that I didn't want to add Shakespeare because we're an 8-week class, and I just thought if I threw in some Shakespeare, it might be a little overwhelming for students. One of the things you should know is we never meet in person. Everything we do is online. Everything is basically due at the end of the week. The only thing you need to do is on Mondays, make sure you do a weekly check-in. And what I found is that if students do the weekly check-in on Monday, they know what's expected of them, then they can balance their time to make sure they complete all the assignments by the end of the week. They like that flexibility. And then again, by you checking in on Monday, you can ask me any questions. And then it kind of allows me to check and see how your progress is going during the week. The only other thing to do is make sure during week 1, I believe it's by Tuesday or Wednesday, you need to send me a welcome email. If I don't get your welcome email, I do need to drop you to make room for students who want to add. So that welcome email becomes really, really important. Let me talk a little bit about the class. I'm super excited about the class. So this here is the Backpacker's Guide to Literature. I'm showing you a different edition because we're doing a remodel in my house, and I couldn't find any of the other editions. They're probably in storage, but you can order the 4th or 5th edition. If you go in the announcement section at Canvas, you can see all the textbooks, and I believe I put them used on Canvas, so you can get the books for our class pretty cheaply. I checked the announcement section, but again, this is the Backpacker's Guide to Literature. I believe the cover is green, and it covers all the short stories, the fiction, the poetry, and the drama that we're going to get. Now, the second book we're going to look at is by a new contemporary writer. Her name's Anita Shreve, and she's sort of really become very popular within the canon of literature recently. And I've taught 3 of her books, and students have really liked her writing. And part of our class is we're going to ask, does Shreve deserve to be considered one of the great writers of American literature? She's contemporary, right? But I think sometimes when students think about the great writers of literature, they may think of things like Steinbeck, John Steinbeck, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Hemingway. So we're going to kind of determine, does Shreve deserve to be up there with that praise? And I really like this book. This book is great. So the book is called A Change in Altitude. So this is the book. And with Shreve, what Shreve's doing in A Change in Altitude, it's basically a kind of a unique book because it deals with a group of expats who live in Kenya. So they're living in Africa and they're interacting with, with the Kenyan people, and they decide to climb Mount Kenya. And as they're training, you get to know the characters. I mean, one of the strengths of Anita Shreve is she creates really strong characters. And so I think the characters are really engaging and interesting. And as they start to climb Mount Kenya, a disaster happens. And there's these really mysterious circumstances that start to arise. And what Anita Shreve likes to do is she creates strong characters, and you kind of get vested in these characters, and all of a sudden a mystery unfolds as someone will die trying to climb Mount Kenya. And then as you unpack that mystery, I think the novel really starts to unfold. It's a really great novel. I think one of the only things that we can talk about when we get into is Shreve's a great writer. She creates strong characters. She writes a compelling story, but oftentimes students don't like the ending. So I'll be curious to see if that's your reaction as well. The other book that we're going to look at is we're going to look at a graphic novel. It's called The Harlem Hellfighters. And The Harlem Hellfighters is a graphic novel that's about the only African-American regiment that fought in World War I, but never got credit for what they did. And again, this is a really powerful novel. It examines issues of race, racism in America, deals with World War I. And I found that students really like this novel. One of the things that's really interesting to ask is, here's the Harlem Hellfighters. They fought for their country. They bled for their country. And not only that, they were hugely successful. I think they were the first regiment to actually cross into Germany before any of the other Allied forces were able to do so. But what's interesting is only in a graphic novel, only in a comic book, are the Harlem Hellfighters really given the credit that they deserve, right? So it's really interesting. Why is it, even in 2025, it's through understanding the Harlem Hellfighters, you really have to read a graphic novel. So I think it's a great novel. I found that students really liked it in the past, so I wanted to continue to use it. So you can look at two ways. Either I'm a really good instructor, or I'm a terrible instructor because we're going to be reading a comic book or a graphic novel. Anyways, that's kind of the setup for class. The first week of class I tried to make really easy. We're going to look at 10 poems of the foundation of class. And then from there, we'll start getting ready into the class. Again, with 8 weeks, it'll go by quick. So just make sure you balance your time. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Send me an email. Otherwise, I'm excited and jazzed to see what you think of the 10 poems for class.